Come, let us explore the highest love. Tukultundap taught that the highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of our practice of mindfulness and meditation. When performed correctly, it calms both the intensity of our anxiety and aggression, as well as calms the tyranny that our anxiety and aggression exert over our choices, utterances, and deeds. Furthermore, the regular and effective practice of mindfulness and meditation stimulates our anterior cingulate gyrus, this structure that looks like the letter C. It stimulates that which it functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of both compassion and love. Why is this important? Because 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. Kindness of intention, kindness of communication, kindness of conduct, and commerce defined both by cooperation as well as kindness. This concludes our opening lesson. Now let us continue with the actual practice. It is Yoda Monday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. After 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Together, let us chant. Whatever comes, may all beings let it come. Whatever stays, may all beings let it stay. Whatever goes, may all beings let it go. Welcome to this Monday morning's first quarter, this early morning's first quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. To keep track of this first quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger, upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. How do we practice? What is the most efficient way to practice mindfulness? When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we automatically access or cooperate with the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. There is a hack to do this efficiently, Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we gently nudge our cerebral cortex to stop competing against our sympathetic nervous system and begin cooperating with it. What is the most efficient way to practice meditation? Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we automatically cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between both the lower third and the upper third of the same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to the degree that what we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less tantalizing, less permanent, and less defining. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we interrupt our cerebral cortex, or the competition experienced between our cerebral cortex and our parasympathetic nervous system, and push it in the direction of cooperation. This is why we meditate. Let us shift our attention to the song of to Tilopa's song of Mahamudra. It was composed by Tilopa, translated by Chang, adapted and amplified by yours truly. Let's take a look at the first verse. And by taking a look, I mean let's chant. The Mahamudra, which translates as the Great Seal, is beyond all words and symbols. But for you, Naropa, earnest and loyal must this be said. So it is great to be enthusiastic. It is great to be loyal. But there are no substitutes for wisdom. There is a lie of patriarchy. We could contrast patriarchy and matriarchy in terms of religion and spirituality. So patriarchy is quite religious, and it's all about faith and devotion. However, what's being explained here is that yes, those things are lovely, but there are no substitute for the wisdom of letting go. So you don't need a teacher to demand your devotion. You don't need a teacher to demand your faith. All you need is someone to take you by the hand and say, this is how you practice mindfulness. This is how you practice meditation. And then when you have questions, to answer those questions for you. That's all you need. It's a very simple path. That's why in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha insisted that it is possible to master the path in as little as a week. Welcome to this early morning's second quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. To keep track of the second quarter, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger, upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so, we could gently invite the real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we cannot help but notice mind's antics. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we cannot help but relax into mind's non-graspable nature. Come, let us practice, and remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, please type that question in great detail in the chat window. Now, I can't remember if I just recited it to you or if we chanted together. So, quick like a bunny. Let's go back to page 4. Let's go back to button 14. Let's go back to the first verse and chant together. The Mahamudra, which translates as the great symbol, is beyond all... The Mahamudra, which translates as the great seal, is beyond all words and symbols. But for you, Naropa, earnest and loyal must this be said. So, great refers to... It's kind of like... This is like a funnel. This is the wide end of the funnel. This is the narrow end of the funnel. Great refers to all that we can notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Whether that which we notice is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. Whether that which we noticed is a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, or a scent, or the like. Whether that which we notice is an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. And now we come to the narrow end of the funnel. All that we notice has the same flavor of non-graspability. We experience that every time we relax into our exhalation. Let's continue. We turn now to the second verse of the Song of Mahamudra Shastra. The void need no reliance, Mahamudra's great seal rests on naught, without making an effort but remaining natural. One could break the yoke of oppression, thus gaining liberation. What is this oppression of which Tilupa speaks? We have two reward systems under our brain. One is dopamine oriented, the other is oxytocin oriented. The first is competitive, the second is cooperative. There are instances where our survival instincts could keep us alive, and that's beneficial for the species. The problem is that sometimes we can get stuck in survival mode, where there is no cooperation, where there is rigidity instead of flexibility, there is fear instead of love, there is superstition instead of rationale, there is control instead of being laid back. These things are destructive. The liberation Buddha offers us is freedom from the tyranny of our survival mechanisms, transforming our survival mechanisms from tyrant and back into just one of many tools. So the Mahamudra rests on naught. Beautiful words. What do they mean? We've already discussed a few moments ago that Mahamudra is a concise way and a metaphoric way of describing about awareness and release. It is not dependent on a belief system. It's not dependent upon blessings from a teacher, or at least literal blessings. All it's dependent upon is cooperating with the natural mechanisms of our central nervous system. The meditation the Buddha offers us is the meditation of getting out of our own way. We'll explore that more in just a moment or two. Welcome to this early morning's third quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. To keep track of this third quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. The liberation we're being offered is liberation from the tyranny of habitual focus and the tyranny of habitual analysis, which can exhaust our prefrontal cortex and trigger our amygdala. Therefore, we're also being liberated from the tyranny of anxiety and the tyranny of aggression. This is no mean feat. We are already wired Every time we breathe in, every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we are already wired to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system and notice mind's antics. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we are already wired to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system and physically relax as well as mentally release. So we play with these two words in harmony with our breathing to get out of our own way. Come together as a team. Let's practice. We come now to the third verse of Tilopa's Song of Mahamudra. If one actively looks for naught while staring into space, if with the mind one then observes the mind, one destroys the tyranny of distinctions and reaches Buddhahood. So looking for naught is a metaphor for having no agenda. As we sit in meditation, we choose to be vulnerable. Vulnerable to the past, present, and future. Vulnerable to the physical and the mental. Vulnerable to the pleasurable and the painful. To the physical and the mental. To the interesting and the boring. To the glorious and the grotesque. Allowing all sorts of things to come up, being completely vulnerable to sight, sound, sensations, flavor, sense, and the like, being completely vulnerable to the full spectrum of emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Things will come up and we will notice them come up, and that's fine. And then we will notice our reactions to what comes up, and that's also fine. It's better to be honest with what we feel than to lie to ourselves about what we feel or hide what we feel away from us, if that is, repression and whatnot. The relentless vulnerability and release, noticing and relaxing, does not stop dualities from existing, but it stops them from controlling us. It stops them from controlling our choices, utterances, and deeds. It helps us to therefore master the Eightfold Path. With its wisdom of letting go, its love of all beings, its going with the flow, its mindfulness and meditation. So one more time, let us chant the third verse. If one actively looks for naught while staring into space, if with the mind one then observes the mind, one destroys the tyranny of distinctions, dualities, and reaches Buddhahood. Welcome to this early morning's fourth quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. To keep track of this fourth quarter, let us rest our great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the crown region of our head. What is the key to mindfulness? When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, our sympathetic nervous system helps us to notice mind's antics. What is the essence of meditation? We silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation. Our parasympathetic nervous system helps us to physically relax and mentally release into mind's non-graspable nature. Together as a team, let us practice right now. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.